this is Miss Keri from the Antioch Public Library Children's Department. Welcome back to another virtual crochet video. In today's video, we're going to learn 4 things. We're going to learn how to ball our yarn, how to make a slip knot, how to chain, and how to single crochet. But before we get into that, some of you guys had said that you had a hard time seeing some of the other crochet hooks. So I grabbed this one. I think this one's going to be the easiest one for you guys to see, so let's give it a try. This is going to be an 8mm crochet hook, which would be an L11 8mm. Can you guys see this one okay? Okay. All right, so now let's move on to step 1, the balling of our yarn. So as you can see, I have a very floppy skein of yarn, and what I like to do with my yarn before I begin working with it is balling my yarn. I did not do this when I first started to learn how to crochet, but I think it's a very easy way to work with your yarn when you're working with your projects. And again, this is optional, so you can skip the step if you like. So what I like to do is I like to take the tail end and I like to put it over the back of my hand, and I like to wrap it on the back. So I wrap it a couple of times, and then I take my fingers out, and then I take this tail piece and I bring it up to the top and pinch it. And then I like to do, I like to take the bottom portion and twist it, and then twist that up. And then you can kind of see it turns into a circle. So then I pinch, and I begin to wrap again. So I wrap a couple of times this way, and then I turn it to my right, and I pinch again, and I wrap it again this way, a couple of times, and then I go the other way again, and I just keep on repeating that until I reach the end of my floppy skein. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys when I'm done balling up my yarn. So as you can see here, I reached the end of my floppy skein and I finished balling my yarn, so this is what it looks like. And again, the reason why I like to do this is just because it's easier for me to work with my yarn instead of the floppy skein just flopping everywhere. So moving on to learning how to make a slip knot. So there's 2 ways that I like to make my slip knot. So I'm going to show you the easy way first. So I like to take the tail piece and have it pointed towards me. And then I take the working piece. So the working piece is the one that's going to be attached to my yarn ball. And then I like to do a crisscross, like so. And then I like to take that working piece, and I like to tuck it under where this loop is. And I like to grab that piece that I'm tucking under, like so. And I pull that piece up while pulling on my tail piece. And you'll find that it turns into a slip knot. And the reason why it's called a slip knot is just because you can slip it right out like so, and there's not a single knot left on your string. Okay, so moving on to the second way that I like to do it, and this is the way that I like to do it. So I put my fingers like this, and I take the tail piece, and I put it behind, and I wrap, and I bring it over, so I make another crisscross like so, and then I take the piece that I just crossed over and tuck it under the piece that's by my fingers, and I pull up a loop, I wiggle my fingers out, and I pull down on that tail piece, and it gives me a slip knot. So stay tuned for when I show you guys how to chain from here. Okay, so now that you guys learned how to make a slip knot, let's move on to learning how to chain. So you're going to need your crochet hook. I'm going to be using a 5.5, and the first step is going to be to insert your crochet hook through your slip knot like so. And then you're going to want to pull on your working tail end piece and your tail piece, just like so. Just so that way it gets a little bit nice and snug. You don't want it to be so tight that your slip knot can't slide on your crochet hook. And then before we get into chaining also, I'd like to show you guys how I like to hold my working piece of yarn. So what I like to do is I like to take it and wrap it around my hand once, and then right before I wrap it around again, I like to wrap it around my pointer finger, and then I take my middle finger and my thumb, and I like to pinch right underneath where that slip knot was. Okay, let me show you guys one more time. All right, I like to take it, I like to wrap it around my hand once, And before I go around for the second time, I wrap it around my pointer finger, and then I take my middle finger and my thumb and I pinch right underneath where that slip knot is, okay? And then to begin chaining, and we're going to chain 11, we're going to yarn over. So yarn over is just going to be to take this piece of yarn right here and put it on the top of our crochet hook, and see how the yarn naturally wants to slide upwards. That's good because it's going to go into the crochet hook and it's going to hook onto it. And then you're going to flip it on its belly so that way that the hook side is pointed downwards. You're going to pull through, and that's your first chain. Okay, so we're going to do that 10 more times, and I'll tell you why at the end. So we're going to do it one more time. Okay, so that's 2. This is 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. Okay, so we chained 11. Stay tuned for where I teach you guys how to single crochet from here. Okay, so now that we've learned how to make a slip knot and how to chain, let's move on to learning how to single crochet. So the reason why we chained 11 is because the 11th chain is actually going to be the one that's going to be on your crochet hook, so it doesn't count as a stitch. And I want us practicing how to make single crochets for 10 rows upwards, so it makes a 10 by 10 square. So let's begin learning how to single crochet. So we're going to go into our first stitch that's closest to our hook, which is going to be this one right here, this little V. We're going to go through, and we're going to grab both loops on the top, and we're going to yarn over. So again, that's going to be crossing over our working yarn piece across the top of the crochet hook, hooking onto it, turning it onto its belly, pulling through. You're going to have two loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over one more time and pull through, and that's your first single crochet. So we're going to do that 9 more times. So we're going to go through, go through that stitch, yarn over, pull through, you bring up another loop, so you'll have 2 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over again to complete your second single crochet. Let's do that again for our third. Yarn over, pull through, bring it up, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again to complete your third. Again for our fourth. Go through, yarn over, turn it on its belly, bring it through, 2 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over again to complete our 4th single crochet. All right, number 5, go through that next stitch, have those 2 on there again, yarn over, bring it through, bring it on up. You're now going to have 2 on your hook again, yarn over, number 5. Moving on to number 6, and again, you're going to be going into the next stitch, so that's going to be that little V, making sure that you grab both loops, going through, yarning over, bringing it through, 2 loops, yarning over, bringing it through both of those loops for number 6. Okay, moving on to number 7. Going through that next stitch, yarning over, bringing it through, 2 loops on your hook, yarning over again, bringing it through those 2 for number 7. Let's do number 8. We're close to the end. Going through, yarning over, going through that stitch, bringing up another loop, so now you'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarning over, going through, and then we're going to do our last 2 stitches. So let's do this one before we finish. Yarning over, going through, bringing up another loop. You'll now have 2. yarning over again, bringing it through those two. And then now we're to our final stitch, which this one's going to be a little bit different and a little bit tricky. So you're going to see this final V. You're going to see this little piece right here. You're not going to want to work into that. So let's go into our final one. So go into the last piece, the last stitch, like so. Oops. Yarning over, bringing it through. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook, yarning over again, and then you're left with 1. So now that we've reached the end, you guys are going to want to chain 1 like so. So you're going to chain 1, so you're going to yarn over and bring it through this loop. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to seal that edge piece. And then we're going to turn our work like this. And then you're going to repeat single crocheting 10. So I'm going to do 5 and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So we're going to do 1. We're going to do 2. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, continue to the end and I'll meet you back there. Okay, I've reached the end of the row and I'm about to do my last stitch. So you guys might have gotten a little bit confused right here since this stitch looks a little bit funky. You're still going to want to work into it. You're going to see that top V right there. You're going to want to catch both of those loops. So you're going to have to kind of work with this stitch a little bit. And then you're going to get your crochet hook through. Oops. And then you're going to just do another single crochet. So yarning over, pulling through, you're going to have those 2 loops on your hook. Yarning over again, pulling through both of those. And then you're going to want to do another chain 1, so that way you seal this side as well. And then you're going to turn your work. And then you're going to repeat for 8 more rows. So I'll do this row with you guys. So you're going to want to work into that chain that's going to be closest to, you're going to want to work into that stitch that's closest to your chain, like so. So you're going to go through, you're going to grab both of those loops of the V, yarning over, bringing up 2, yarning over again, and pulling it through those 2. So that's your first stitch. Let's go to the second stitch, the next one. Yarning over, pulling through. Number 2 is done. Moving on to number 3. Number 3. Moving on to 4. 4. Then moving on to 5. Moving on to 6. Then 7. Then 8. Then 9. And then our last stitch, number 10, which again is going to look a little bit funky, but you're going to see that V on the top. You're going to want to go through both of those. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, go through both of those, and then you're going to want to chain 1 to seal that end piece. Okay, so that completes row number 3. So please continue for 7 more rows, and I'll meet you back when I complete my 7 rows. Okay, I just completed the last stitch on the 10th row, and now I'm going to show you guys how to tie off. So I cut my working yarn so that way I can make a tail, and then I take the loop of on the crochet hook and I yarn over and I pull that through, and then I pull that tight to secure that knot in place to make sure that none of my stitches get undone. And that is all that I have for you guys today. Please stay tuned for our crochet meeting 3 to 3:30 for the tweens, and 3:30 to 4 o'clock on the 25th, so you guys can ask any question that you guys have. Stay tuned for next time. Bye-bye.